2023 was the year that artificial intelligence burst into public consciousness, stoking the imaginations of many and the fears of many others. In 2024, Goldman Sachs says generative AI will move from an excitement phase to a deployment phase, and in the next 10 years could raise global GDP by as much as 7%.
All right, let's get started. Thanks for tuning in. This is a recording of the presentation provided recently at the Miramar Pembroke Pines Chamber of Commerce at the Brand Building Bootcamp event held in South Florida. This session is called AI and Product Development, How AI Can Enhance the Process. My name is Mike Pina. I am the founder of AI Rocketship LLC. I am a South Florida-based business. I've also included on the screen a QR code if you'd like to scan to get my contact information. You want to connect on LinkedIn, you can definitely connect with me. So I hope you enjoy the series. So to move forward, we're going to discuss as follows the objectives. First is understanding GPT. We're going to go over what is AI for generating new ideas, AI for optimizing product design, AI for understanding customers, and then a couple of tips for success and some recommendations. And then ideally we would have a little bit of Q&A. Now, since this is a recorded series, there won't be any live Q&A, but I can reiterate some of the questions that were presented at the live event. So moving forward, understanding GPT. To begin, understanding what is generative pre-trained transformer, GPT, as in what we see with ChatGPT, for example, or in a program like Perplexity, which is another great way to find information that uses its own large language model. You first have to understand the idea of what is the Chinese room argument, which is an old study, an old presentation that was given by a gentleman by the name of John Searle in 1980, and it's so far one of the easiest way to understand what is working with artificial intelligence when it comes to using something like ChatGPT. And the presentation goes as follows. Imagine that outside of this room, or the room that you're standing in right now, is an audience full of native Chinese language speakers. Inside the room where you're sitting right now is one person who speaks only English. However, you're holding a book that has all the characters in Chinese translated. And so what happens is as follows. A command or a prompt, as in when you're using ChatGPT, is presented by the audience outside. Beneath the door, the request is presented as a note. You being inside of the room, you cannot go outside, so you're stuck inside the room with the book. You receive the note, which is in fully Chinese language, and you have no idea what it says. However, using your book, your instruction, okay, your language model, you go and research what does each letter present. All the information is parsed, it's separated, but you put it together in order to make a structured response so that when you go to return the response by slipping the note back under the door, back to the outside audience, they receive a response that looks like it was presented by somebody in the room that actually speaks Chinese. It's almost realistic how much artificial intelligence has grown today, how it mimics intelligence. But what we need to understand is that AI, presently known as narrow AI, because there is no supreme type of AI that can autonomously function, it still needs human oversight. AI cannot fully understand everything. And one of the things going into the next point is, for example, GP versus semantics. You'll see my mouse on screen just kind of reiterating what we're looking at. Semantics, the study of language. GPT struggles with this, so it needs instructions and practice and training in order to understand your prompts. Okay. Now, why does this all matter? Moving on to the next slide. Well, in understanding GPT, you want to write effective prompts when you're generating new ideas for your business or your artwork, and you have to understand how to structure your question. It's okay to give a system like ChatGPT, which is very popular, all kinds of instructions, and you don't have to hold back. You can present as much as information as you like. So let's say you're a company that produces water bottles for individuals who like to go biking on the weekends. Sports bottles, right? You'll tell the GPT, create an image for a design of a new water bottle. Now, if that's all you put in, and in this case I use ChatGPT DALL-E, the latest version, the subscription-based version, this is what the image produced. Take a look at the image. You're going to find there are some interesting things, but I'm also finding errors because this is part of what I do with my business. For example, this, I don't understand why there's a window, but it's there. Here, there's differences in the caps of the bottles. This would ideally be connected to the bottle so you can hook it on to your bike or your backpack as you like. Obviously, there's some issues here in the etching or the design, however this was presented. And ChatGPT, DALL-E specifically, is notorious for struggling to write crisp, clear text. That's why you may need to throw this into a program like Photoshop later, for example. Now, watch what happens. Going back to the first slide when we discussed about prompting and how AI doesn't really understand what you're asking it for. It kind of just puts together these words, create plus image plus for plus a design a new water bottle, and it'll put out a response. What happens if I give it more effective language, something a little bit more concrete? The new prompt has changed. I told it, create a design of a new water bottle that is disposable, eco-friendly, transparent, and uses earth tone colors in the logo. Awesome. Here's a couple of samples of generative AI systems currently available. If you have Wix Studio building a website and you use that prompt, this is the type of image that I was able to get. In Adobe Firefly, this is the type of image that I was able to get, the same exact prompt. And ChatGPT, DALL-E, these were the images I was able to receive. So as you've noticed, they've captured things that represent eco-friendly, maybe disposable. I think these are better examples. This doesn't look so disposable. So all of this is just reiterating that whenever you're prompting, you want to be as concrete as possible. Use plenty of description. Next slide. Couple of takeaways. So GPT and AI is not a perfect system. You always got to check your work. Always, because there will be errors and you don't want to put out an image or a document with text information from ChatGPT that may potentially embarrass you. So always check. I wouldn't say so much as spelling, but the actual arrangement of words. Understand that AI mimics human behavior. And I put repeat because in the class that we had, I wanted everybody to remember to have that type of attitude when dealing with the technology. It sounds real, but it's not real. Its job is to mimic that human behavior so you feel and believe that you're talking to a human. And of course, use descriptive prompts. Next slide. So for generating new ideas, this is great for business when you're thinking about generative AI programs like DALL-E, which is a part of ChatGPT, or Adobe Firefly, or if you're going to be using things like Runway or Midjourney to do videos. There's a lot of options out there now. Some are free, some are paid. But for creating new services and products, for example, if you want to describe something, coming up with a new type of product, you can use just GPT. Now, if you want to create some mock-ups, you may want to try to create visuals using generative AI, things like DALL-E within ChatGPT or Adobe Firefly, even Canva, I believe, has that option as well. What also is a great takeaway from using AI for your new ideas is you're able to test your ideas before launch and getting an idea of, is this something or a direction that I want to pursue for what I'm doing for my business, such as getting a new logo done, a mock-up of a new company shirt, or a new product, or a new style or design, or changing colors of an existing product. So these are great ways. Next slide. AI for generating new ideas. So in this example, we use a massage company in the city of Pembroke Pines, and I put in the prompt here in ChatGPT that I have a special for individual massages for $75, and I'm going to create a promotion for Valentine's Day for couples. And then I gave it a job. I told ChatGPT that it's a marketing agency with experience in branding and sales. Create a list of 5 promotions for the couples massage for Valentine's Day. And for each of those options, that it presents, it should be no longer than one sentence, and the long length also provide a tagline after the option is provided. So I'm giving it instruction. Look how good this is. I did have some misspelling in my requests. I forgot to put I put a period too soon, and it still was able to understand what I wanted. And it gave me 5 great options. I chose for the class the 90-minute couples massage that included chocolate treat and a sparkling beverage. So now I moved on to Adobe Firefly, which is an Adobe subscription product, to create an image, and I use couples massage with a free chocolate treat and sparkling beverage. But I believe that what happened here is because I used the word massage, Adobe flagged that as a potential issue. It didn't want to create an image that might be suggestive or graphic. So I tried to update my prompt, and I use a scene of a relaxing massage, which I honestly think it made it just worse, and I got this error. Then I moved on and I said, okay, let's try a massage service. Still didn't work. I got an error, so I can't generate an image of what would this look like. I ended up taking out the word massage and I just put moment. A relaxing moment service. In fact, it came out kind of weird, but regardless, Adobe Firefly did a pretty good job of creating some images that I liked. It gives you 4 options in this case. This one was great with the exception that it's missing chocolate. I didn't like that. That's cool because it has a chocolate kettle, but it's not real. This one I think was probably the winner right here. It's got some cool looking chocolate. And then I'm going to take this into what is Adobe Express, also included in the subscription. Adobe Express is like, how to explain, as a very simple version of Photoshop. Very simple, very scaled down. You can pull up templates for things like Valentine's Day using the image you just created. You could play with the text, make your own message. In this case, I just kind of copied and pasted the text because I like the font for Be My Valentine. And as what you're seeing here happening is that within less than 3 minutes, we've created what could become an Instagram post, a flyer that you print, a poster that you put in front of the store, a text message. It's a new option for you as a business owner to promote your couple's massage. And this is a great thing about using generative AI. We generated this image and then we took it into another program like Adobe Express to start adding things like text, playing with the colors, adding extra elements to make this look amazing. So this is a great feature. So moving on, AI for optimizing product design. AI is great for improving existing products if you wanted to test out new features or if you wanted to generate recommendations. This next part right here, for example, I took the plant that you're seeing in the image, okay? I promise it'll get more exciting in a moment, but we took the same plant, dumped it into ChatGPT. This feature, by the way, is only available if you have a subscription. It's not with the free version of ChatGPT, okay? Putting it into ChatGPT, I dragged and dropped the screenshot. I gave the system a job. I told it, you're a digital marketing agency. In this image is a special plant that we sell, but we want to market with a fresh perspective. And we are looking to target healthcare facilities that need abstract plants and decor using our specific plant. So I told it, create an image of the plant with a new design concept and suggest your own ideas. Immediately, it goes on to create an idea for healing botanicals. What would it look like? Plant and health symbolism, ambient lighting. And it asked me, do I want to proceed with an image? I said, yeah. Now, in this case, I did have a challenge with the image because it did not show my plant. It showed something completely different, as you can see here. So I asked it, reframe the image, place it in a healthcare environment, such as a doctor's waiting room, just to move forward. I wasn't going to nitpick too much yet. And within a couple of moments, ChatGPT shows me, well, what could this look like if I wanted to sell this as something. Now, I didn't like the image. I dropped the plant in and I said, this time I want you to identify what this plant is. Let's go back and figure out what is this. And it tells me it looks like a parlor palm. So I now asked it to create an image of a small plant fit for office decor in a doctor's office. And you're going to see now the image changes. Going back to what we said in previous slides, the more information you give ChatGPT, the better your output. Garbage in, garbage out is what we say in this technology lingo. What you get, what you put into it. So you put in good, strong, descriptive prompts, you're going to get a good output. I'm back here in Adobe Express. I've taken my palm plant. I'm going to look up for some seasonal templates. I found one for a sale for autumn. And all I'm going to do here in this case, I removed the image, I dumped in my image, and I sent it to the back. Here you're working with layers, which allows you to visualize what you're trying to do. Now we have an annual palm sale all of a sudden with healing botanicals for medical offices. So I have some fresh perspective, and all this under 3 minutes. It's great. I wanted to make this a little bit more fun, so I took a different example. I said, let's talk about food. Everybody likes to talk about food. So we took a random fake menu that I found on Google Images. This is not a real restaurant, but it's an image of a pretty greasy menu, maybe a fast food place. It's got like burgers, hot dogs, fries. It's not exactly a health conscious facility. But I told it, ChatGPT, I want you to look at the text in the image, read that text, and suggest 5 new dishes using that text. What I'm trying to get it to do is to suggest a new type of menu with Italian food that's not going to necessarily cost me more and having to buy new ingredients, not necessarily, but work with my existing ingredients. And now all of a sudden I've got things like, instead of onion rings and just deep fried hot dog and all American burger and chicken and waffles, I've got options for buffalo chicken parm chipettes, Italian meatball waffle sliders, bacon pesto cheese dog, pizza burger italiano, deep fried mozzarella hot dog. My menu has all of a sudden become very interesting. And now I want to create an image for option number 2, which is the Italian meatball waffle sliders. Here's a little tip. Whenever asking for images, tell it you want 4K quality with lifelike textures. You may get a better image than just simply saying, make me an image. Get very descriptive. And there we go. New menu item. In fact, it looks so good, less the syrup, of course, that you may need to only have to add some text information on here. And that's it. You can move forward. All right. Now let's say you want to revamp your restaurant. Again, with AI for optimizing your product design. Let's say this is your restaurant and you realize it's bland and you want to test out some new configurations. Well, what if we took this, and this is Photoshop right now. I'm using a subscription-based paid version of Photoshop. This feature is an AI feature that uses generative AI to remove objects and replace them with content from the surrounding area, the pixels, so that whatever was supposed to be there looks like it was actually moved out of the image, and it does a pretty good job. Look at the TV, for example. I want to put in a large screen television instead of this tiny one. So it's going to add in a new TV. Let's say over here on this side, I want to remove the whole center area, and let's turn this into a salad bar, kind of like a self-serve, or maybe there's somebody serving customers. And I have different options. Again, this is Photoshop from Adobe as well. And this is one of their AI features that allows you to modify images. You can take things out and add things in, staff members. I didn't like this one necessarily because the proportions were wrong. For the staff, they're just a little too large for that small kitchen. Here we had some images, but I wanted to see what kind of people and were the proportions correct? Do they have the right amount of limbs? Because sometimes generative AI will give you a person with 3 arms or missing limbs. So that tends to happen. Here I'm redecorating the roof, so I want to give it a wooden roof, and already we're changing the look of our restaurant. So maybe you were thinking about investing $25,000-$30,000 into new things for your restaurant, but before doing that, you're considering, well, isn't it cheaper just to do a mock-up? You didn't have to hire anybody. If you're a little bit handy with Photoshop, you can do this. This is a great feature, but it's to show you that even artificial intelligence is found within products like Adobe Photoshop for generating new content. And here you have an updated restaurant look. Our next slide is AI for understanding your customers, and it's just a brief overview of analytics and data, looking at customer behavior, insights, recommendations for change. What you're going to see is not actual data. It was just shared for the purpose of the presentation, but it'll give you an idea of what things you may already have access to or what you may be missing out on. So first slide, we're looking at, for example, Google Analytics. So most of you who are using Google Workspaces already have this. You'll be able to go into your Google dashboard. You can actually put Google dashboard in a Google page, and it'll take you to the screen after you logged in, and you can see, how many views, how many people came in, where are your customers looking at your website from, which countries. Again, there's not much movement on this page. This is a sample for the purpose of this presentation. A website like Amazon obviously would have this number closer to the millions and incredible amounts of traffic. This would just be completely lit up. But it's important to understand your customers. How are they learning about your business? Did they come to you direct? Did they type in your website address from a flyer, or was it through maybe social media? They clicked on something and the traffic took them to your page. And notice this, there's people from Alaska. I found that kind of interesting. So I didn't really consider my clientele to be in Alaska when I'm working in South Florida, yet I have people from these other countries exploring this page. And this page right now is not going to have much content since there is still a build out currently in process for it. All right, moving forward. So this was Google Analytics. For those of you using something even as simple as Etsy, this was a test that I did for an ad that I put up. It only ran maybe 5 to 7 days, but I was able to learn information about how I'm acquiring views from people searching on Etsy. Etsy ads, were they effective for the, I think, $10 that I spent in that short week? Was it through other pages, or was it a direct search from other traffic? How many visits? And it's cool because everything is color coded. One thing very interesting about this that I learned in a different screen, it's not up, but I'll tell you, I had posted a video of some generative artwork, generative AI artwork that I produced, and I was selling on Etsy several months ago. It's just a kind of try before you buy. The artwork originally was intended for a female audience, for maybe decorating a female's living space, maybe the interior of a closet or a bedroom, nothing that I would necessarily think of to put outside. After looking at the research of over a week of who was looking at the item, and these visits went up in several hundreds, right? I came to realize that it wasn't women who were looking at my product, it was actually men. Males were interested in the design. Over 70% of the viewers were male, not female. And as a business owner, right, or if you're somebody in charge of product development, these are things you want to know so you can understand your product better and how you're going to tailor the messages that go out about your product. Understanding what products may sell better. What are your customers more receptive to? Okay. This is actually a screenshot of the ad. You have the AI Rocketship astronaut. This is one of the posters, Muñeca de la Playa. This will actually be sold as canvas or brushed metal art soon on the website, on the AI Rocket Shop, coming soon. But what I wanted to show you is that this panel right here to my right is Instagram. Even Instagram has data and analytics built into it. It collects information about who's viewing, how many times it played, how many accounts were reached. Usually there's like a wheel up here that shows how many visits were from followers versus non-followers, and non-followers are good. It's great if your buddies give you a thumbs up or like the videos that you're putting up, but if you have 100 people view your content and 80% on non-followers, that's 80 new accounts that you've reached. People that have not seen you before now are aware of who you are, even if it's for a moment. That is a battle that is won. So things to look at, and you can access this if you're using Instagram to promote your business, you're doing video reels of your restaurant or your products or your interaction or your customers interacting with your product or service. Definitely you want to be able to see what's going on. There's an option that usually will be under your reel around here in blue. It says view insights, and I'm discussing the Instagram mobile version right now, but this is important. So moving on, tips for success and recommendations. Always going back to our first slide, use descriptive prompts. Okay, avoid buying prompts. Try free. Free is good. Okay, there's a term in the industry called democratizing AI, making it available for everybody. This is important because 2024 is the year of deployment. So before you go and spend $100 on 500 prompts that are guaranteed to get you results, as some people on social media tend to sell, I want you to think, what is available? Try your own prompts. Try free first. Okay? Be very careful because there are a lot of scammers out there. And then, of course, always check your work. Anything you put out, check that it actually makes sense, that it didn't create new text or an image that doesn't look right. Here's the last two recommendations. Identify your assets. This is important. I'll explain why. Assume that you're a small business owner or you're working in a mid-sized corporation. There are people in your office right now that understand AI much better than you. Okay? This is the reality. There are people that love technology, that use it consistently, and are already taking those steps using either generative AI to make content, images. They may have a blog, they may have a YouTube channel, they may be doing critic reviews on comments. I'm sure many of them have done reviews on restaurants, so they're already talking. These may be employees that you're already working with. So before you go and necessarily hire somebody, have a talk with your team. Ask, who's using AI here? What's been your experience? Do you think we can use that in our workplace? And of course, consider, can your workplace use AI? Or are you dealing with, for example, like in healthcare, protected health information? So these are things to consider. But your assets are your people. People are your greatest assets. Even in the age of artificial intelligence, AI has to have oversight, and people are still very, very valuable to the whole process of using that tool. And then the final recommendation we gave at the Brand Building Bootcamp was taking the first step today. Don't wait. Take the first step today. Download ChatGPT if you don't have it. Or if you have it, consider spending the $20 or $25 a month to get the paid version so you can start generating images or having it scan documents using drag and drop features. But get informed. Don't be afraid, because this is the norm. This is the new norm. This will be a tool using artificial intelligence, and those businesses that have it will be the ones that will have the most success. It's always a race to the first. Okay? So for Q&A, the final part, there were just a couple of very interesting questions, and from what I recall, some of the business owners in the room were asking about how they can start using AI, and do they need to keep studying it. And there's one gentleman, my recommendation was you don't have to necessarily document and study everything. You just have to get your hands involved. So I think he was looking at it from the perspective of, do I need to go and take a master's degree in AI? I didn't necessarily suggest that. My point of doing this series was to have him start, because he was at the foundational level. Okay. There were some questions also about using artificial intelligence for streamlining processes like responding to emails or for example, looking up individuals on LinkedIn to connect with. Yes, there are services with AI that can do this. And if you want more information, I can put you in contact with individuals who are already working in that space who provide these kinds of services. But yes, there are ways to speed up things like responses to customers, or if you're trying to connect with individuals and build your social networks, there's services for that as well that will automate the process so that you can get back to doing what you love. Okay? So I hope this very brief overview of using AI for product development was informative. Again, my name is Mike Pina. Thank you so much for taking the time, and please message me if you have any questions. Hope you enjoyed the series.